That's why this whole show and in the first segment we talked about how comprehensive retirement planning really needs to be, and looking at all of these really important factors. I don't think one is really more important than the other. That's the whole basis of the Take Point on Retirement Freedom Plan is we're looking, what type of impact are taxes having, and then what if taxes do go up? Right now we're probably in some of the lowest tax, penalties and tax brackets that we've been in a long time, and seniors 65 and older are getting some pretty good standardized deductions and things like that, which is helpful, but that's not set in stone. Our country's $39 trillion in debt, which is pretty scary. So they're going to have to raise taxes. At some point in time, they're going to raise taxes on something at the federal level. So I think that we've got to look at taxes being much higher in the future. It's not true at all. It's funny, not funny, but how many clients we have that realize like, oh wow, like I thought I was going to be paying less taxes in retirement than I am. But also, okay, taxes, big risk, but long-term care costs, we've kind of touched a little bit upon that today, but in medical costs and things like that. But even premiums, like your Medicare premiums, are all based on income. So you got to be very, very careful how you're taking income, where you are taking income from. Like we're also, providing tax analysis for our clients on an annual basis. So we're diving deep into the tax returns to see where we could be affecting Medicare premiums, where we could be, paying too much taxes, or trying to avoid, certain things that we could maybe avoid, reducing taxes. Are you taking, based on how your portfolios are invested, they're kicking off taxes, but not much growth. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy things you got to look at. It's really complicated. And so, the medical costs, I think, for me, are really concerning because medical costs just keep going up and up and up and up and up and up and up every year. It's crazy to me. My daughter's getting ready to go to dental school, and she's going to end up coming out of dental school with $300,000 or $400,000 in loans. Well, others, how they pay for that stuff, it's going to be coming out of your pockets. I mean, quite frankly, the costs are going to be higher, and they're going to keep getting higher. And there was a loophole that just closed in 2026, depending on if you, as a couple, went over, I think it's 100,000 in income. So like, think about it. If you're taking RMDs, you're taking money out of your IRA, you gotta be careful because it could trigger you into a higher tax bracket and really increase your Medicare premiums. I have high net worth clients that we work with, and we're very careful at looking at our income distributions and where we're producing taxable income in the portfolios, so we can try to minimize taxable income as much as possible, so we don't trigger higher premiums. Because it's like, if you reach over, I think it's over 100,000 now, but it triggers, like, couples are looking at $1,000 a month more. $1,000 a month more. I have couples on Medicare that's paying $1,500 a month just in their monthly premium. That's not even covering all the other stuff. So out of pocket surgeries and illnesses and things like that. Had some clients recently never expected to have cancer, and the cancer costs were through the roof, and it really reduced their nest egg. So all kinds of things, potential risk kind of out there that we got to be careful of.
Yeah, it's interesting too, when you're speaking about certain medical emergencies, you almost can figure those things will happen no matter what. I mean, it might be a physical surgery. It might be, again, as you mentioned, God forbid, cancer, things like that. But it's still something that people don't often prepare enough for. Maybe they prepare for it, or they think they prepare for it, but they don't prepare often enough for it. And when you sit down with those clients who maybe didn't prepare for that, how do you help them catch up on the budgeting part so that they can get through that storm, weather that storm of, well, we have this certain ailment, or we have cancer, or we've got this problem here, we've got this physical problem. I need to go to physical therapy because I hurt my leg, whatever the case may be. How do you help people budget for that, even when it looks like it might be a little bit too late?
Yeah. So, some people are going to be fortunate enough when we get done doing their plans that they're going to have a surplus, so in a sense they can self-insure through those periods of time and still come out of it looking okay and being able to continue to draw enough income to get them through their lifetime. But others we could see where it's just too tight. And if a certain situation like that did arise, it's going to create quite a bit of damage. And, I was talking to a lady the other day at one of my educational events, and she was almost in tears because she realized like they hadn't really saved enough for retirement. And she was already in her late 60s, and they had some assets, thank goodness, but they were basically going to be living on Social Security and a small pension. And her husband was a lot older than her, and she was really concerned about, like, if he gets sick and we need this long-term care, we're going to end up draining whatever we have left. And so we did have some solutions for her. Some people are going to take action and act upon those recommendations, and others are just going to keep rolling the dice, unfortunately. But there are some good solutions out there for folks now that weren't there years ago. So long-term care, hybrid. And so there's, you got to get with a specialist that can, in a sense, go to these carriers and look at how do we find and customize the best insurance product for this couple. And it's not just an end all be all for everybody. It's not one blanket recommendation. Everyone's different, and we have the ability to customize and find the right solution. So utilizing different types of insurance companies